My grandmother's unwavering support made me feel invincible. She was the one who took care of me, provided for me, and protected me from the world. I never had to worry about a thing, and as a result, I developed a sense of complacency. I got used to relying on her to fix everything, to bail me out whenever I got into trouble. I remember the countless times I'd get into mischief, and my grandmother would swoop in to save the day. She'd smooth things over with my teachers or talk my way out of trouble with the neighbors. She was my rock, my confidant, and my best friend. But as I grew older, I began to realize that my grandmother's protection had also made me a bit soft. I never had to face the consequences of my actions, never had to learn from my mistakes. I used to be the one who caused disorder in class, the one who was always begged to do it right, and that ruined me big time. I was the class clown, always cracking jokes and causing chaos. My teachers would plead with me to behave, to focus on my studies, but I just couldn't help myself. I loved the attention, the laughter, and the sense of power that came with being the one who could disrupt the entire class. But looking back, I realized that my behavior was not only disruptive, but also destructive. It ruined my relationships with my teachers, who grew frustrated with my antics. It ruined my relationships with my classmates, who began to see me as a troublemaker. And worst of all, it ruined my own sense of discipline and responsibility. My grandmother, of course, was always there to bail me out. She'd attend parent-teacher conferences, smiling sweetly as my teachers recounted my latest misbehavior. She'd promised to talk to me about my behavior, but I knew she never would. She loved me too much, and she wanted me to be happy, even if that meant enabling my bad behavior. But then one day, my grandmother passed away. It was a devastating blow, one that left me feeling lost and alone. I had never imagined a life without her, and I didn't know how to navigate the world without her guidance and support. As I struggled to come to terms with her passing, I started to see the truth about my life. I had so many friends during the time she was alive, but afterwards, everyone disappeared. I was left to face the reality of life alone, and it was no longer jokes and fun. The reality of life hit me like a ton of bricks. I was alone, and I had no idea how to take care of myself. My grandmother had always been there to provide for me, to comfort me, and to guide me. Without her, I felt lost and adrift. I started to realize that the friends I had during my grandmother's lifetime were not really friends at all. They were just people who hung around me because of my grandmother's influence and generosity. They would come to our house, eat our food, and enjoy my grandmother's hospitality. But when she passed away, they all disappeared. I was left to face the harsh realities of life alone. I had to learn how to cook, how to clean, and how to manage my finances. I had to learn how to be independent, how to make my own decisions, and how to take care of myself. It was a difficult and painful process, but it was also a necessary one. As I navigated this new reality, I found myself seeking solace in a place I never thought I'd go: church. I started attending services, listening to the sermons, and praying for guidance. It was a strange feeling, but it brought me a sense of peace and comfort that I desperately needed. As I looked back on my past, I realized that my grandmother's passing was a blessing in disguise. It forced me to grow up, to take responsibility for my life, and to become the person I am today. Getting support from church, I started to be a regular. Sunday after Sunday, I was there. I even got a job. As I continued to attend church, I started to feel a sense of belonging and purpose. The community was warm and welcoming, and I found myself looking forward to Sundays more and more. I soon found myself volunteering at the local food bank and soup kitchen. It was through the church that I landed my first job. I was grateful for the opportunity, and I threw myself into the work. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was on the right path. I had a job, a community, and a sense of purpose. I was finally starting to feel like a responsible adult, and it felt amazing. For years, I attended church with a friend, and all the time I was there, my friend was always complaining about the pastor always asking her out. Before I knew it, she did mention that she slept with the pastor, but I thought it was just a mouth running. She'd always complain about not feeling her legs and lots of headaches, and eventually passed away. It didn't make sense. I just thought I just have a dark cloud hanging above me. I was devastated by my friend's passing. We had been through so much together, and I couldn't imagine going to church without her by my side. But as I reflected on our time together, I started to piece together the clues that had been hiding in plain sight. My friend's complaints about the pastor's advances, her subsequent revelation about sleeping with him, and her mysterious illnesses all started to make sense. I realized that my friend had been a victim of abuse and that the pastor had taken advantage of her trust. I felt a wave of anger and sadness wash over me. How could someone who was supposed to be a spiritual leader take advantage of someone like that? And how could I have been so blind to what was going on? As I grappled with these questions, I realized that I had been living in a state of denial. I had been so focused on my own struggles that I hadn't noticed what was going on right in front of me. But now that I knew the truth, I couldn't ignore. I'm trying to hold on to my faith, but it's getting harder and harder. I feel like I'm losing myself, like I'm being consumed by the darkness that surrounds me. I'm scared, I'm alone, and I don't know how much longer I can keep going. I just want someone to listen, to believe me, and to help me. I want to be free from this nightmare, to be able to live my life without fear of the pastor and his evil deeds. I want to be able to trust again, to love again, and to live again. That's it for today. I hope you've learned something valuable from this story. Take this as a lesson and advance yourself. Don't let anyone take advantage of you, and always prioritize your well-being. I'm sharing this truth in hopes that it will help others who may be going through a similar situation. It's not easy to speak out, but I believe it's necessary. I'm Aria. Don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Your support means everything, and it will help us grow. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, you are not alone, and there is always hope for healing and redemption.